Now, after this, we'll see French Revolution. When I'll be discussing this, I'll be discussing liberty, equality, and fraternity. Understand, UPSC in 2025 mains has asked a question from this part, and it is said that what is the contemporary relevance of French Revolution in today's time. So understand, in our Indian constitution, you guys must have studied polity, we have liberty, equality and fraternity. You can give an example: equality via affirmative action or the reservation system that government is providing to bring in all the people at a equal level, has been picked up from the French Revolution. Is it clear? Also, you can always supplement this question by various other Supreme Court judgments and international scenario examples which have been happening. Is it clear? Then we will see the French Revolution. After this, in both American and French Revolution, we'll see formation of monarchical form of democracy, right? We will see individualism. After this, another thing which we study here is Industrial Revolution in England. Now, understand that by that time, England had developed steam engine, jenny machines, and the production rate and the efficiency had increased a lot, right? Compared to what was done by the human hands. Also, with its imperialistic and colonialistic policies, you have seen in modern India that what did Britishers do? They picked up the raw material from India and they took it to Britain, and in Britain they manufactured the products, they brought back, they had put the tax on that, and they sold back to Indians, right? So this is what was happening. Industrial Revolution in England created a race of arms. Okay, they had a superior naval force by after certain point of time. We'll see that. Okay, and this imperialism and colonialism, we will see that France and Britain, they tried to spread their colonies in the various parts of the world in the context of exploitation, right? Because again, they will get the raw materials, they will manufacture the products, and they will sell it over there. Now, understand, because of this, both the nation states were getting particularly very rich. And then on this, we see the context of rise of nationalism and nation states among the other people of common grouping. Mostly we will study unification of Italy, okay? We will study unification of Germany. In the unification of Italy, we will see that three people play a major role over here. The first one is Garibaldi, the second one is Mazzini, and the third one is Count de Ver. We'll not go into a lot of detail, but we will try to understand the causes, events, consequences, and impact. Similarly, in Germany, we will see role of Bismarck and his blood and iron policy, how he unified Prussia and surrounding states into a unified German federation. Okay, now what happens when the concept of nation state starts? Then starts the phenomena of aggressive nationalism. Okay, when nationalism takes the turn of being aggressive along with the arms race, because industrial revolution was already happening, arms were already being produced in mass, right? One of the thinkers had already said in context of World War, First World War, that all these arms are not only being created after all to shoot the pigeons on the holiday. Definitely they were supposed to be used, right? So First World War, we will study here that all the nation states were competing against themselves, right? They wanted more colonies, they wanted more power, they wanted supremacy in all the things, and conflict of the territorial interest led to the First World War. Immediate cause when I'll be teaching you, then I'll discuss in the class. After this First World War, it is basically Russia where the concept of communalistic philosophy starts. Okay, here there is a struggle between the state, proletariat, and the labor, right? They question the authority of the state and they say that whatever the land is a common property, okay, that has to be distributed among the people, right? So there starts the process of Russian Revolution. We'll study Lenin in this, okay? We'll study decree of peace and decree of land. So Russia develops a complete communalistic philosophy after this. And then what happens, due to some of the consequences of the First World War, we see a rise of fascism and Nazism, specifically over here in Italy, and Nazism will see in Germany. Okay. Now, fascism basically again that's a aggressive nationalism, love for one's own nation and hatred towards other nation. We will study here Mussolini. Okay, he will be the leader. In Germany, everybody knows it is the Hitler. We all know the story of Holocaust of Jews. Okay. Now what happens by this time between the First World War and Second World War, lots of secret hidden treaties are happening. Okay, lots of policies of appeasements are happening, and because of this there is clash of interest. There are certain immediate causes, we'll do that in the class. It further leads to the Second World War. Is it clear? Now understand that over here we all know the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki by USA, right? So after that, what happened? After the Second World War, the countries came together, okay, United Nation formation happened, and they decided the world can't afford to have more wars, right? So there were no direct conflicts, but we entered into an era of Cold War. Okay, in Cold War era, there was two separate ideologies. One was capitalist run USA, okay, and another was communist USSR. So ideological war is happening in Cold War era. And what does India choose? India choose a non-alignment policy. Now, that neither I'll support this bloc, neither I'll support that bloc. I will have a neutral stance. Is it clear? So, capitalists are people who give more emphasis on production, market and business. Okay? More interest is given to individualism, okay, versus the common growth. But when we talk about the ideology of this communalism, we see that they are talking about the distribution of property among the people. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. And one major thing you will see in Cold War era specifically, it is that there was disintegration of USSR by 1991. Okay, how? It was due to its own internal policies. We will see economic policies. Prestokia and Glasnost will study, right? These kind of ideological battles are happening. So eventually, after 1991, this bipolar world shifts into a multipolar order. Okay. Further, in this whole process, we see that all those nations who had been promoting democracy, okay, they were asked for the process of decolonization. That means whatever colonies that you have captured, you are propagating democracy, but yet you have captured these colonies, you have to let them free. So it was a whole international pressure on them, which led to further decolonization. So today we are into the era of multipolar world order. Is it clear? I hope this whole part is clear. This is how our classes are going to proceed. Okay.